is not made for kids. Your discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangy coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers over Cybertron Trilogy, Walmart exclusive Netflix. This is the Sparkless Seeker. So this is a straight up repaint of the Siege Tetrajet mold that was first used on Starscream, but I will explain why it's technically not a straight up repaint of Starscream in a moment. But yeah, this is the Sparkless Seeker based on the zombie seekers that appeared in the Transformers Netflix Siege cartoon show. And after seeing a couple of reviews on it, it's not quite what I originally thought it was going to be, but all things considered, I think it's a pretty unique Transformers figure to have at least as far as the Seekers go. So yeah, here's the Sparkless Seeker. Comes with two Battle Masters that are named on the back of the box. Here's some artwork on here. Got the artwork here on the top of the box, just like all the Netflix Transformers, including the Decepticons. The Transformers logo on the top of the box is the Autobot logo, but for those who have any doubts, this Seeker, just like all the others, is a Decepticon. You've got the Kingdom logo done in the Netflix art style of being red and white on a black background, and that's pretty much all there is to say. Here on the back of the box, you've got the product shots. There's the Sparkless Seeker and the Seeker in its robot mode and its Tetrajet mode. It transforms back and forth in 24 steps. The two Battle Masters are Sparkless Singe and Sparkless Caliburst. They're straight up repaints of the regular versions of Singe and Caliburst, who were released way back in the Transformers Siege line, and they even come with the same blast effects. I don't know if they're done in the same colors as the original, but I believe that they are. Singe did come with the same green blast effects there, which are green on the Sparkless version. Same with Caliburst, came with the same purple blast effect that this new Sparkless version does. So yes, this Seeker is a zombie, and technically, he is supposed to be even though it's a zombie, it's supposed to be a Sparkless Transformer, so it's a dead Transformer. So just like my previous review of the Amazon exclusive alternate universe or dead Optimus Prime figure, this Transformers figure is technically a lifeless corpse. And one of the reasons why I said a moment ago, I don't know how my camera's going to pick it up, but while it's inside the box with the reflection from my bedroom lamp, I'm showing off the plastic, but the Sparkless Seeker technically has the same evil smile, the evil smirk that was used on the Generation Selects Red Wing figure, and the first figure that used it was Siege Thundercracker, so this figure is technically more of a repaint of Thundercracker than it is of Starscream. I would have preferred the Sparkless Seeker to have the more muted, neutral face that's on it. Here on the artwork, they're kind of like showing the reason why they use the evil smiling or smirking face is because they wanted it to look like the Sparkless Seeker's angry to be awakened from the dead and brought back halfway to life as a zombie. But all things considered, having the evil smiling face on it, it looks like the Sparkless Seeker. Instead of being angry, it looks like it's a Seeker that died on the battlefield while it was smiling at something. So yeah, it's definitely pushes up the creepy factor after having that permanent smile on it. But that's pretty much all there is to say about the Sparkless Seeker, except for a thank you to my friend and the Ghost of Lord Master Starscream. I will leave a link down in the video description to his YouTube channel. He was able to help me get the Sparkless Seeker off of Amazon.com. The Sparkless Seeker, when it was initially released, everyone wanted to buy it up to get a chance to get another Tetrajet Seeker mold, but then Walmart got more of this action figure in stock, and now it's now it was shelf warming last I heard, and pretty much that's all there is to say. The Sparkless Seeker is the second Sparkless Transformer to be released in the Netflix line. This first one was the Sparkless Bot, which was mold mates with Siege Prowl, but it was more a repaint of Barricade. And I did a review on the Sparkless Bot back when I got it last year. I got 2 copies of the Sparkless Bot. I have no plans on getting multiple copies of the Sparkless Seeker at this time because since it is a Walmart exclusive Voyager class figure, the average price that the Sparkless Seeker is going for on the internet is between $45 to $60. So 1 copy of the Sparkless Seeker is enough for me. So without further delay, let's get this zombie transformer out of its box and take a close look at it in robot mode. Alright, and this is just one thing I wanted to point out really fast. As the Sparkless Seeker was released last year, and this is proof of one of the changes that's being brought to Transformers action figures. So Hasbro announced that starting with the Transformers Legacy line this year in 2022, that they're going to do away with using as much plastic as they can on the actual packaging that the Transformers come in, and so one of the parts of plastic that's being removed from the Transformers action figures are the plastic tie-downs. These were, I believe, introduced with the Transformers either the Combiner Wars or the Titans Return line. I can't remember exactly which one. So yeah, these plastic tie-downs will be a thing of the past now. Hasbro and Takara have gone back to using paper tie-downs. Paper tie-downs were used for a couple of years. They were introduced in the Transformers Hunt for the Decepticons line in 2010, and they were used, I believe, for 5 years until Combiner Wars, when they were replaced with the plastic tie-downs, and plastic tie-downs have been used since the Titans Return line in 2016 until now. Now, I personally prefer the paper tie-downs. They were much easier to remove than the plastic tie-downs had been. And so yes, I'm really happy that Hasbro and Takara have gone back to using the paper tie-downs on the Transformers action figures. I just wanted to show that off with everyone. Alright, and so before we take a close look at the Sparkless Seeker, we will take a quick look at Sparkless Singe and Sparkless Caliburst. These are straight up repaints of the original Siege, Caliburst, and Singe Battle Masters that were released in the Siege line back in 2019. And yeah, I don't remember seeing any Sparkless Battle Masters in the Netflix series, but if anyone ever wondered what a zombie version of a Target Master or Battle Master Transformers figure looked like, then Sparkless Singe and Sparkless Caliburst are here to show you what that looks like. So yeah, there they are in the robot mode. Almost the same color pattern as the original Siege figures. They're just more faded or muted, and they look like they've been aged with time, possibly covered with a layer of rust. And looking at Singe and Caliburst, and then also looking at the Sparkless Seeker, one thing that I will say is that for a quick size comparison, in robot mode, here they are next to the Sparkless Bot, which I've got in my zombie pose, like he's like walking towards someone. Get him into a more normal pose for the rest of the review. But the Sparkless Bot is the Sparkless Seeker that has the paint job that's most accurate to how the Sparkless Transformers, how the zombies look like in the Netflix cartoon show. And I kind of was hoping that the other Sparkless Transformers that they would release in the Netflix line would follow the paint job that the Sparkless Bot was given, of having this paint job right here of this like rusty brownish orange. But for the other two Sparkless Battle Masters and the Sparkless Seeker, it almost looks like the paint job that they had when they died, and that it's just been faded now with the life drained out of them. But I would have preferred if they had the same like rusty orange that the Sparkless Bot has, because that is accurate to how they appeared in the Netflix cartoon show. But that's just a minor gripe that I have with these. So yes, so to get these guys transformed, even though it's been a while since I've touched any of my Battle Master Transformers, since they're straight up repaints, they transform the exact way as the original versions of Singe and Caliburst. But I'm noticing right out of the box on my copy of Caliburst, the ball joints and the pelvis don't want to let the legs rotate into the correct orientation for the laser gun mode, so hopefully it stays together and doesn't fall apart. So yeah, just be wary that right out of the box, Caliburst robot mode pelvis, the ball joints on it don't want the legs to move all too properly. So yeah, there is Sparkless Caliburst in his laser gun mode, same aim as the original Siege Caliburst, even the same blast effect. And I believe the blast effects are the exact same colors. It's the same with Singe. He comes with not only the same blast effects that the original Singe Battle Master came with, but I believe they're also done in the exact same color scheme. So yeah, with the just like the Sparkless Seeker and the Sparkless Bot, with the Sparkless Battle Masters, they're straight up repaints of the original figures. No new molding as far as I can tell. Well, it's been a while since I've looked at my copy of Siege Singe, and I put him with his original Target Master partner of Spinister from the Siege line. But yeah, I believe just like Caliburst, the blast effects used here on the Sparkless version of Singe, and these are the exact same, not only the exact same blast effects, but they're done in the same shade of clear green plastic. This one might be more of a grass green, and the green blast effects that came with the original version of Singe, they might have been more of like a neon green. But yeah, that's as far as I know. The same thing with the purple blast effect used on Sparkless Caliburst. On the original Caliburst figure, I think it was a slightly darker shade of purple than this one. So yeah, it almost looks. So yeah, instead of looking more like zombies, these paint jobs make Singe and Caliburst look like they're just their bodies have aged a lot, and they're now just very old, even older than Cup and Alpha Trion Ion put together. So yeah, the Battle Masters are a little bit of a letdown as far as looking like zombie Battle Masters, but for what they are, they do a fairly decent job. And I'm now realizing that the inclusion of those Battle Masters is the reason why the Sparkless Seeker has a retail price tag well, I can't remember the retail price tag, but that's the reason why it's going for between $45 to $60 on the internet, is because of the inclusion of Sparkless Singe and Sparkless Caliburst. Alright, and without further delay, we have the Transformers figure that is the highlight of this set. It is the Sparkless Seeker. So yes, this is what a Seeker looks like when it's dead and it's a lifeless corpse. Orbs. But more specifically, it's what a Sparkless Seeker it's what a Seeker looks like when it's not only dead, but it's been brought back to life halfway as a zombie. So, if you wanted to, you could get the Sparkless Seeker into a zombie pose like I did with the Sparkless Bot a moment ago. But fresh out of the package like this copy of mine is now, half of the joints are stiff, so it might take transforming the figure a couple of times to get it right. Now, I said a moment ago that it shares the same evil smile that Starscream, Siege, Thundercracker, and Generations X Redwing had, but yes, it does have the evil smile, but it now has a slash mark running from one corner of its mouth down the side of the cheek. So it does look like a evil smile that's sagging on one side of it. So, but again, as I said at the beginning of the video, I would have preferred if the Sparkle Seeker had the more muted face. That way, it looks like there's literally no life to it, because having the mouth shaped like that, it almost looks like the Sparkle Seeker when it was still alive. It was smiling at something, and so it looks like having the face go like that. It looks like the Sparkless Seeker died smiling or laughing at something, and now it's permanently etched on its face. Hey, so again, that's just a minor gripe that I have with the figure, but all things considered, I think Hasbro and Cartoni did a great job designing this thing. One thing I like is that the cockpit section, it's this very like rusted looking glass. It's very dirty. already hasn't been kept up. Same is true with the light piped plastic used on the Sparkless Bot's head. And I can't tell if the eyes are painted or not. They are not. But yeah, it's I think it does a fantastic job of looking like a zombie transformer. And again, for a size comparison, here is the Sparkless Seeker next to the Sparkless Bot. I got 2 copies of the Sparkless Bot, but I couldn't pull the other one out for for this review. But yeah, as I said a moment ago, I still enjoy this like rusty orange that was used on the Sparkless Bot more than what was used here on the Sparkless Seeker. Granted, one could argue that it looks like faded metal with the way it's this like very like muggy looking brown thing, but honestly it looks like the Sparkless Seeker's body crawled out of a mud hole rather than a pile of rust. But that's just me with my minor OCD about this thing not being the same, not having the same shade of rusty orange paint job that was used on the Sparkless Bot. One thing to note about the Sparkless Seeker is that there are 2 Decepticon logos on the back wings. There's no faction logos used on the Sparkless Bot, but because it's more of a straight-up repaint of Siege Barricade than it was of Siege Prowl, the Sparkless Bot was labeled as being a Decepticon. So, yeah, the Sparkless Seeker, if you wanted to, you could imagine the Sparkless Seeker as being an actual Seeker that's still alive and isn't a zombie or a lifeless corpse. You could imagine this being an actual fully living Seeker that happens to have a dark brown paint job to it if you desire. So I don't know what name you would call this thing, but considering the fact that it shares the same head sculpt used on Siege Thundercracker and Siege Red Wing, you could imagine it's either of them. You could also imagine that this could be Skywarp, since Skywarp does die in the Netflix cartoon series. But all things considered, I do really enjoy having this figure in my collection. And just to show, and just because it came with them, here is the Sparkless Seeker holding the Sparkless Singe and Caliburst Battle Masters in its arms. I don't know if any of the zombie transformers in the Netflix Siege cartoon actually were actually Battle Masters or Target Masters. But yeah, for considering the fact that it's a zombie, the Sparkless Seeker with a Singe and Caliburst in hand is armed up and ready to take on other Transformers and introduce them to the land of the living dead. And so, getting the Battle Masters out. Again, this is apart from the paint job. There's nothing different about the actual sculpted detailing comparing the Sparkless Seeker with the other Tetrajet Seekers. And on that note, the Sparkless Seeker is actually the 9th version of the Siege Starscream mold. This mold has actually been used 10 times now. With the 10th version is the version that was released after the Sparkless Seeker, is the Shattered Glass version of Starscream. So yes, this is the 9th version of the mold, but even though, as I said a moment ago, out of box for the first time, some of the joints are a little stiff, so from what I've seen in the other reviews and what I've seen now that I have the Sparkless Seeker in hand, it doesn't appear to be suffering from any mold degradation, so that's pretty great to see. So without further delay, let's get the Sparkless Seeker transformed into the Tetrajet mode. We will wrap up the review. You and I will share my final thoughts on the Zombie Seeker, which is the another word you can call this thing. Now, before we finish the transformation, this was one thing I almost forgot that I wanted to share with you guys. Someone else pointed this out years ago, when the Siege Starscream version of the mold, the first version, was released. So, if you get the Sparkless Seeker, and I actually advise this on all of the Siege Tetrajet Transformers action figures, if you look right here, to transform this Transformers action figure from back and forth between robot mode and Tetrajet alt mode, this mold relies right here on this single solitary hinge joint in the middle of the figure to transform correctly. And if this thing breaks, then you basically have a broken upper and lower half of the Siege Seeker mold. As far as I can tell, I believe it is pinned in place. I don't know if you can unclip it or not. I wouldn't even try it. So yeah, just be wary of the Siege Tetrajet mold. That every version of the Siege Tetrajet Seekers, they depend on this one solitary hinge joint to transform correctly. So just be extra careful when you transform this figure, because if that one hinge breaks, then the figure is basically broken. Alright, and so here's a Sparkless Seeker transformed into the Tetrajet mode. I probably don't have everything lined up, which is probably why these two little tabs on the nose cone section aren't lining up properly, but yeah, I don't think that's mold degradation. It's just me having trouble trying to get everything to line up properly. But yeah, yes, that's basically it for there is the Sparkless Seeker in the Tetrajet mold. If you have any version of the Tetrajet mold, then you know that what you see is what you get. It's in jet mode or vehicle mode. Oh, the Sparkless Seeker is the exact same as all the other Siege Tetrajets. Although I will admit, with the paint layout here, the Sparkless Seeker has a paint job that more closely resembles out of all the previous versions of this mold released. It looks most like the other Tetrajet Seeker that was released in the Netflix line, which is a Voyager class Hot Link. I think it has similar burn patterns to Hot Link, and all of the versions of this mold that were released in the original Transformers Siege line have the exact same battle damage paint job on them. But all things considered, I do enjoy having the Sparkless Seeker around, and I do like that more. Again, that like a dirty faded glass used there on the cockpit section. That's really quite fun to see. And as you can see here, you have two options on how to put the null rays. If you want it to look more like the Earthrise F-15 Eagle fighter jet at Seekers that have scanned vehicle modes on Earth, you can put the null rays on the outsides of the wings. I like to put them here on the smaller pegs that are angled here in the back, because it gives the Tetrajet mold a slightly more triangular shape to it. I don't know if you can attach both Sparkless Singe and Sparkless Caliburst while the null rays are attached. I believe you have to choose which set of weapons you want attached to the Sparkless Seeker, because as the 5mm pegs that are parallel with the only 5mm pegs available that aren't in an awkward position are these two sets of 5mm pegs here. There's also that third one there, which is the robot mode elbow joint, but they're so close to each other, it's next to impossible to put multiple weapons on there without them hitting each other or the weapons being super thin. And the only other 5mm pegs that the Sparkless Seeker has in Tetrajet mode, just like all the other versions, are in the 5 engine thrusters. You got 3 up here on the top, and then you got 2 here on the bottom, which are formed by the inside of the robot mode feet. Yeah, now that I've transformed it and I've looked at it, I started off the review being a little disappointed that it wasn't the Sparkless Seeker wasn't the same shade of rusty orange, orange paint job used on the Sparkless Bot, but this muddy brown paint job used on it, I think it's a pretty nice color layout. So here's the Sparkless Seeker next to the Sparkless Bot. So these are the two zombie transformers from the Netflix line. And there were actually multiple body types used for the zombie transformers in the Netflix Siege cartoon series. I believe, in addition to the Prowl / Barricade and the Seeker body types, there were zombies of the Siege Ratchet and Ironhide mold. I think there might have been female zombies that shared a Moon Racer's body type, but I can't remember offhand. It's been a while since I've watched the Siege cartoon series. But yeah, so all in all, the zombies, they didn't actually transform into vehicles. They just were portrayed to being like the way zombies normally are in horror films, where they just walked around and tore apart anyone who they touched who was still alive. But all things considered, the Sparkless Seeker, now that I've transformed it and held it in hand, it is a lot more impressive than I had originally thought when I started the review. So in the span of this review, I've whatever doubts I had about the Sparkless Seeker are gone now, and I do wholeheartedly enjoy having it in my collection. Pretty much the only gripe I have with the Sparkless Seeker is I think it would have actually been better if they hadn't painted these Decepticon logos on the sides of it, because there's no faction logos on the Sparkless bot. And so I think it would have granted, we already know each and every Seeker Jet is a Decepticon. And the fact that this is supposed to be a lifeless corpse and there's no life left in it, yet it's got two purple Decepticon logos on there kind of almost makes me wonder if this isn't actually a lifeless corpse that's been turned into a zombie, and if it is, in fact, a living Seeker that just has muddy brown as its primary paint job. So for my final thoughts, do I recommend getting the Transformers Netflix Sparkless Seeker and adding it to your Transformers collection? Absolutely, I do. Again, it's a very nice shade of muddy brown plastic used for the Sparkless Seeker. And even if you have the Sparkless Spot, I do recommend getting this because officially this is supposed to be a zombie transformer, and you can't go wrong having a couple of zombies in your collection, especially if they were featured in the cartoon series that the figures are based on. And while I wouldn't have actually chosen to have sparkless versions of the two Battle Masters of Singe and Caliburst included with the Sparkless Seeker, they are nice additions to have as well, even if they're the accessory pieces that are the main reason why the average price tag for the Sparkless Seeker is around $60 on the internet. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. This has been my review of the Transformers Netflix Sparkless Seeker. I highly recommend you get this figure and add it to your collection. And until next time, you guys, remember to stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you to all my subscribers for your continued support, and a special thanks to you, Ghost of Master Starscream, for helping me to add the Sparkless Seeker to my Transformers collection. So until next time, you guys, this has been the TF Fan Geek. Stay tuned for my next review. Transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.